Howdy peeps, hope we're doing well. So, halfway through the week, I figure it's time for another video, because why not? You know, I'm subscribed to a couple of different channels, and I know sometimes YouTube unsubscribes us, whether you're a content creator or not, from channels because, I don't know, maybe a bug in the system, or maybe they're thinking you have wrong think, or you have wrong watch, right, or something like that. Well, subjective, isn't it? So, what got me onto doing this video, and I'll kind of give credit where credit is due, like, the reason this video is called Who the Fuck is Laura Bates, right? Because I had no idea, and I've just done a little bit of research, and just by the first glance of what I've seen, it's just like glaringly obvious. Now, this has come about courtesy of Casual Bachelor, also obviously a Bachelor channel, and you should go and listen to what he has to say on this one. I'll throw a link, you know what, I'll even throw a link in the description. Let's show a brother some love, see if they return the favour. Won't hold my breath. But anyway, so my first question was, because Laura Bates has come up before, and I'm thinking, who the fuck is Laura Bates? Like, really, who are you? So I googled it, like a lot of people often do. I know that she's a writer for The Guardian, so immediately you can just disregard anything that comes out of anything to do with The Guardian, because you just know, right? They're just wrong uns. They're just simple as that. So, Laura Bates, it's got a bunch of words, bunch of letters, sorry, after her name. B-E-M-F-R-S-L. Born 27th of August 1986, is an English feminist writer. Ah, well, of course. Another way to translate that for bloke speak is she hates men. Just saying. This is the other bit, like, she founded the Everyday Sexism Project website in April 2012. Everyday Sexism Project. Now, look, I'm not in any way have a professional opinion of this, right? This is a total unprofessional, and I will admit somewhat biased opinion. But what sort of people go around looking for problems where there aren't any? Karens, right? Karens. So we're immediately going to stop calling her Laura, and we're going to call her Karen. Why? Because this is what Karens do. You know, they want to speak to the manager, right? Her first book, Everyday Sexism, was published in 2014. But this is just it, isn't it? And it goes back to what I said in my previous video. Men and women don't really understand each other a great deal because we are speaking the same dialect, just a different language. Yeah? It's just a sad fact. So, and this is I think this is the one that I wanted to read. I mean, she's batshit crazy from the get-go, personal opinion, and I'm sure that she could say plenty about me. Oh, look, you're bald, you got a beard, you're obviously fucking toxic male and all this shit. And I'll be like, yeah, man, wicked. Talk about wearing a badge of pride, like when you sort of, yeah, same sort of thing. Doesn't work the same with women. Not to the same sort of extent. A lot of the time, they'll take that shit personally and then act victim on it. Passive-aggressive behaviour. You all know what exactly the path that leads down. You know, poor me, I'm just doing this little girl monster, yeah? You get the idea. I'm sure some of you have experienced this shit firsthand. Right, here we go, and I love it when they do this. The incel movement is a form of extremism, and it cannot be ignored any longer. For starters, it's not a movement, and like I said in the previous video, it shouldn't, you see, when they call things a phenomena, this is my problem with the English language and my, in a lot of cases, lack of understanding. When I think of a phenomena, I think it's phenomenal, it's great, it's, you know, obviously that's not what it's referred to in this sort of sense. But let's be real. Things like that You know, incels only became, why did incels become a thing? Because that's what society labelled them as. MGTOW, why they get seen as a hate group? Because that's what the SPLC wants to see them as, and spread further hatred and segregation, which is exactly what it is. And look, this isn't about colour of skin, this is literally down to gender. It is as simple as that. It's just like a lot of these women just hate men. They just can't bring themselves to say it, and they won't ever admit to it. Caught a few people out in my life with that one. You know, when they've literally projected onto me, oh yeah, you hate women. It's like, no, I don't. I understand women. And then went on to sort of explain how in certain circumstances, a lot of the time, women want to have an advantage or a privilege over men that in nature they wouldn't necessarily have. It's literally something that's been granted, like the right to vote. Men, before they had the right to vote, and I'm not talking about the air quotes common man. No, sorry, I am talking about the air quotes common man, because before is, you know, you had to have a good social status to be able to vote. But then of course they brought in the draft, and if you wanted to vote you had to sign up to draft, and if your country went to war you had to go to foreign shores or stay on your own and face whatever was coming your way. Women were given the vote. They did nothing. They just complained and were given the vote, right? That's basically how it went. They said, oh, but no, that's not fair. It's like, well, I don't see you getting, you know, signing up to draft. You know, well, obviously I wouldn't have because I wasn't back in the day. I wasn't there, but you get the gist of it, right? And sure, you could argue, well, World War One and World War Two, you know, there's been plenty of women that were working in the war factories, and it's like, and again, with the greatest of respect, because you couldn't really, they weren't, I mean, I don't know, sometimes I think women back then were actually of a better generation, they were a better breed, if you'll excuse the expression, than what they've turned out to be now. They were a lot more about keeping the family together. They were a lot more about the family unit, and they weren't quite as narcissistic, loosely, I use that term very loosely, as what a lot of women are by the standards of 2021, where they literally have such a state of privilege that they don't even acknowledge the privileges that they have. Now, that is not excusing the bad things that happen to women. Sure, it does, right? But bad things also happen to men, and like I said in my other video, it only becomes a problem when it happens to women. When it happens to men, it's a problem, but it's something that, you know, you can just ignore it until next time. But when it's women, it has to be dealt with there and then. Otherwise, everyone hates women and you're all misogynistic pigs. Male chauvinistic pigs, there you go, as well as. Anyway. So, I mean, let me see, let's just have a look. So, the term involuntary celibate, you know what, I really hate the way they throw adverts in on these things. It's just like, fuck off. The term involuntary celibate, or incel for short, used to describe somebody who isn't having sex, but would like to be. It was first coined by a young woman named Alana in the mid-1990s. Was it? Citations needed, I think. I'm just sort of saying. The small, supportive, mixed sex community she created online is a world apart from the extremist, hate-fueled ideology it has transformed into the many years since she left those online spaces behind. It feels like being the scientist who figured out nuclear fission and then discovers it's being used as a weapon for war, she later told The Guardian. Now, I could say the exact same about feminism. And I could say it and mean it as well. Today's incels are not a clearly defined organised group, but rather a sprawling, disparate community of men across a network of blogs, forums, websites, private members groups, chat rooms and social media channels. Several of the forums have memberships in the tens of thousands, with around a 25% increase in membership in the 2 years I've been researching them. And again, researching them. You see, the thing is, if you're researching them, you have to be, for starters, I mean, I don't know anything about what this research was, how she's gone about it or anything like that. But I will say this, the first thing you have to be with an individual is honest. So posing to be as someone that you're not. In this case, maybe there's a potential. I might find out later on. But if you want to go and air quotes infiltrate somewhere and try and be like one of them, you got to remember, guys are always gonna egg each other on with the competition, and whether it's slagging someone down or something like that, because that's just what guys do, right? Now, from a woman's perspective, that could be seen as like completely hateful, even though it's just, at the end of the day, just words. It doesn't necessarily mean that anyone's actually going to do anything or that they believe in what they're saying, especially online. But like I say, if something is being used to then later be weaponized against in this case, a kind of air quotes group like incels, then yeah, they're literally playing straight into their hands. And they're not really being given a fair crack of the whip, because it's all cloak and daggers, smoke and mirrors, all that sort of thing. And it's exactly what it is. But they don't want to really talk about that side of it, because it means outing them for what they're doing. It's like, no, you're not going in with genuine intentions. You're not actually trying to understand them on an individual level. You're just trying to get a thing so you can then sell a story like this and tell the world, about these supposed women haters. Now, it doesn't mean that they're not going to have that persona, the online persona of hating women, and then when you actually talk to them one-on-one, they actually really like them. But because of whatever disadvantage that they feel or that they have, that they feel they have or that they may have, they're taking shit out online, because you can't really go out around the town doing it, because it just make matters worse, right? But again, women don't understand this, because they tend to although in some situations it can be quite catty and get quite nasty in itself, but a lot of them, there is a percentage out there that are far more sympathetic and empathetic than, I suppose, the more common woman, as it were. Yeah, just my opinion, right? So to carry on, several of the forums, I know I've read that bit, sorry guys. These figures don't take into account the number of people visiting and being influenced by these sites without necessarily signing up. Incels subscribe to a transnational ideology characterised by white male supremacy, and there you go. You've got to hate it because it's what about, if and this is a sort of ironic part, right? Back in 2016 to 2017, you had the SYSBM. If I've got that correct, I do apologise if I haven't. But so it's the exact same thing. It's just literally from more of a race perspective, rather than, well, we're all in the same fucking boat now, guys, so what fucking difference does that make, other than maybe a couple of people from one might not like a couple of people from other because ignorance and stupidity. Just my opinion. Well, let's carry on. So yeah, characterised by white male supremacy. Of course, you've always just got to blame Hitler for everything, haven't you? This is what it goes down to. Oppression of women and the glorification and encouragement of male violence. Seeing themselves as perpetual victims oppressed by a feminist gynocracy, they believe that sex is their inherent birthright as men, and that rape and murder are appropriate punishments for a society they perceive as withholding sex from them. Who the fuck were you talking to? And was this a one-on-one conversation, or was it, this is a conversation you can't go online and have, because people will just take you down that garden path and you're not going to get an honest opinion. They're going to take the piss because it's the internet. When will people learn about the internet, man? This is what happens when a normie starts fucking with the internet. They start getting involved in shit that they really don't know a great deal about. And then they consider themselves woke at the same time. It's like, you couldn't be much more fucking sleep if you tried. It's like, put the night all down and start sipping some caffeine and actually start spending the time with people, and then maybe you'll get to... But no, right? But no. Again, narratives, agendas, and their feminist gynocracy, which is where we're at. You know, it is. It's where we're at. Just look at the courts. Speaks masses. You know. The transformation of Alana's benign self-help community to today's extremist ideology is part of a result of the environment in which those forums were created. The early Usenet forums were dominated by white men who grew uncomfortable with the third wave feminist movement. Well, when you start dividing up by gender and you realise that one is far more privileged than the other, do you seriously think that there's not going to be some sort of knock-on effect from that? You think just everyone's just going to be happy with that, even though one is being privileged over the other, whilst the same one that is being privileged is still shouting out about inequality being a thing. It's like 2021. It's like, wake up. You know, they've literally got, because you point these things out and they still get the ump with you. It's like, well, you know, if you're not willing to look past what you've been spoon-fed and what you've chosen to believe all these years, and you're not willing to see another perspective, because it a lot of the time doesn't affect them, because they've got the privileged they're the privileged gender, right? Just saying. More recently, social media algorithms have led young men to encounter increasingly extreme content. Concepts such as evil women controlling men's lives. Oh, like they don't think? You know, they don't exist? That's not a thing, really? Or rape being the natural end product of depriving men of sex, or filtered through viral YouTube videos and memes appearing across the sites that wallpaper young people's online environments. The more frequently they see misogynistic content, the less shocking it seems. Well, the more misandric content I see, the less surprised I am. At least it just tells me who that individual is. You're obviously women, right? And I've seen plenty of TikTok videos from women telling guys exactly what they think of them. And it's like, but that's fine. And of course the feminists will tell you that's fine as well. But it's like, no, you keep telling yourself that, man. Yeah, keep telling yourself it's all about inequality. And it's like, as soon as a man says something bad, you got a problem with it. But all the time these women are saying bad shit, then that's fine, right? That is literally an inequality, and that is what a lot of these feminists can't get through their head. Because they want the privilege of being able to beat and bash people without any accountability for it. What a wonderful world, eh? And then they wonder why these guys, you know, end up with the attitudes that they've got. It's like, I wonder why. You know, it really doesn't take a scientist or a genius to figure it out. It really doesn't. Anyway. After viewing one video or liking one post, social media platforms feed more content, often more extreme in nature, to users with the aim of maintaining and monetizing their attention spans. Not necessarily. I mean, the algorithm is the algorithm. You watch cat videos, you're going to get more cat videos come up. It's fucking simple as that. You know, it's not down to anything else. Today's incels are also experts at finding and recruiting young men online. No. I'll tell you what makes it so easy, right? For guys to find these places, whether it's red pill content, whether it's men going their own way, whether it's incel. Do you know what makes it really easy? Women's attitude in 2021. That's what makes it really easy. Because half the time it's like you can't even have a conversation without them getting offended about something, or you used a word that they didn't agree with. Or maybe the dialect was slightly, there was a bit of a crossed wires in the conversation. Then all of a sudden the bad guy's instantly the oppressor. But no, that doesn't matter. We wouldn't look into something like that, would we? Why do you want to do that for? They do not depend on boys coming to them. Indeed, many young men I meet... Oh, so you do actually meet them? I'd like to know if you meet them. Whose ideas reflect this ideology have never actually heard of the term incels. No. They are groomed over computer headsets, in gaming strategy chat rooms, via viral videos and funny memes. No, they're not. You know, this is a sort of funny thing, right? Not that I'm incel. Would have been a fucking easier life, I think, if I had been. That's just saying. But I started talking about personality disorders 5-6 years ago, when I first started this channel. And it was just by pure chance that it just sort of came about. I was learning all about personality disorders, and then the different algorithms brought up all sorts of different stuff. Heard of Sargon of Akkad, and then Men Going Their Own Way made an appearance. But it wasn't groomed into it, it just appeared. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I'm old enough, mature enough to make decisions for myself and to see what's what, you know. But anyway, I'm running out of time on this one, so I might wrap this one up. I'm just going to go through this one ever so quick. You cannot entirely separate incel extremism from the everyday sexism that is rife in our society. Yeah, usually induced by women. Women are the most sexist because they just, you know, a lot of these women are turning into Karens and they just want to be offended by everything so that they can get the attention and cause a bit of drama and feel that they have some sort of control over others a lot of the time. I'm just saying that. And as long as they can blame someone else and point the finger at someone else and they don't have to accept any responsibility, then that's fine. So we can just blame incels, red pill, mid-toe, and anything else male-related because fuck you all reasons. And there's nothing you can do because that's the game rules that they play by. Anyway, thoughts, comments, and opinions, drop them down as always to the next one. Stay cool, stay free. Thanks for watching. Peace out.